Big adventure motorcycles are amazing displays of the latest technology, big power and continent crossing comfort, along with some off-road ability. They are better handling and more versatile than baggers or big sport touring bikes. But if what you want them to do is in fact cross continents, you will value reliability above other features such as stratospheric power and all the latest whiz-bang electronic gadgets like adaptive cruise control and blind spot monitoring. Pretty soon these things will pilot themselves while you nap in a recliner on top of them. But when you're putting on the big miles, you're somewhere in the boonies and you don't want your once-in-a-lifetime bucket list trip interrupted, you'd better go Japanese. As I keep saying on this channel, no Japanese motorcycle has ever let me down or left me stranded, something I can't say for bikes originating elsewhere. Europe! Excuse me. And so, when it comes to big ADV motorcycles from Japan, you have the Honda Africa Twin Adventure Sports ES and the Yamaha Super Tenere 1200 ES, ES for electronic suspension. There's also the Suzuki V-Strom 1050, but that bike is competing more with the middleweight 900s and the standard Africa Twin. I've spent a couple of weeks with the Super Tenere and a month with two different versions of the Africa Twin Adventure Sports and have a good grasp of the features of each motorcycle. Check out my reviews of each bike in the top right corner. I've ridden them long distance, off-road, and on sporty, twisty roads. I've taken them on adventures and two-up trips and can speak about the strengths and character of each. So stay tuned for this very comprehensive comparison, and as always, if you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and sharing it with friends. The most important aspects of a motorcycle, at least for me, are the power and handling, so we'll look at those first. Now, you might think that since both engines are parallel twins with 270-degree crankshafts, the power characteristics would be similar. And on the surface, when reading the specs, that would appear to be the case. The Yamaha's engine is slightly larger at 1,199 cc and outputs 110 horsepower and 86 pound-feet of torque, while the Honda's slightly smaller 1084 cc motor puts out a respectable 101 horsepower and just got a torque bump this year to 82.6 pound-feet. Seeing as the Honda is a bit lighter at 530 pounds manual or 550 pounds for the automatic to the Yamaha's 591 pounds, that should make them perform fairly equally, shouldn't it? Yes and no. Both motorcycles are respectably quick but have very different power characteristics. Thanks to their 270-degree crankshafts, they both sound and feel like 90-degree V-twins, but there the similarities end. The Yamaha motor is larger and feels it. On this bike, you notice the torque first and the strong performance at lower revs. It feels more rumbly and is definitely slower revving, much like a V-twin bagger. Having said that, it still revs out better than a typical bagger, but it has that relaxed big engine character. The Honda feels far more revvy and is quicker to spool up. Its performance edge arrives at high revs as it rushes to redline, and it feels less torquey down low but faster on top. In terms of fuel efficiency and range, the Honda has a slightly larger tank, 25 liters to 23 on the Yamaha, and seems to win on range. I got 450 kilometers on the Honda, riding it very hard, while 400 kilometers seems to be the upper limit of the Yamaha's range when ridden moderately. I could have stretched the 450 on the Honda to 500 if I had been riding for range instead of, for fun. Regardless, the Honda carries more fuel and is more efficient with it, perhaps because it's lighter or because its change drive is more efficient than the Yamaha's shaft, or because my press bike was an automatic. In terms of sound, both sound good at low revs, but the Yamaha has more of a burble of the big displacement mill, while the Honda has the revvy rat-a-tat-tat reminiscent of a fast-revving Ducati V-twin. Neither is better, it just depends on what you prefer. The Yamaha is more relaxed and the Honda more aggressive. Finally, the Africa Twin offers Honda's excellent DCT automatic transmission as an option. The manual is 20 pounds lighter, by the way. The Yamaha comes in standard only. Moving on to handling, and here's the thing about the Super Tenere. It is a big heavy motorcycle, and standing still or at parking lot speeds, it feels it. It has a slightly taller seat than the Adventure Sports, shifting between 33.3 and 34.3 inches, but when this motorcycle gets above walking pace, the weight magically disappears and the thing rips through twisty roads, holding its speed through corners amazingly well. I found myself dragging the pegs through the long sweepers and gaining confidence on every ride. Now, the 2024 Africa Twin Adventure Sports is the first modern Africa Twin with a 19-inch front wheel, and that has greatly improved its pavement handling. Gone is the vague feeling when leaned over, as well as the two-toe sensation when transitioning from side to side in S-curves. This thing drops into turns quickly and tracks very well. I'll say something controversial here though. As good as the new Adventure Sports is, and despite the fact that it's a lighter bike, I still felt more in tune with the Super Tenere. Yamaha has worked some magic into this motorcycle to make it handle and transition so well. This is subjective, and the Honda also did very well in the twisties, but the Yam felt just that bit better. So for sporty riding, the Honda has the faster revving motor, but the Yamaha has a slight edge in handling. On the highway, both bikes feel super solid and are unaffected by crosswinds or big trucks passing by, with the Yamaha again feeling slightly better planted, probably because of its extra weight. However, off-road, the Honda turns the tables dramatically. The weight difference between them feels a lot more substantial than the 40 to 60 pounds might indicate. The Adventure Sports is heavy but feels manageable on terrain that would be too challenging for the Super Tenere. The big Yamaha is a pavement bike with gravel and some dirt capability, but the Honda can do that plus more challenging trails. Neither is a dirt bike, but off-road the Yamaha is more of a handful than the Honda. Both motorcycles are sporting electronically adjustable suspension with settings for rider, rider with luggage, rider with passenger, and rider with passenger and luggage. Additionally, the Yamaha gives you soft, medium, and hard settings, while the Honda incorporates those into the rider modes. It's up to the individual rider which one they prefer. Both bikes also have ABS braking, and while the Yamaha's brakes are perfectly capable, they are axial mount, while the Africa Twin has the more expensive and powerful radial mounted brakes up front, as well as lean sensitive ABS. Additionally, both have traction control, but again with its 6-axis IMU, the Honda offers a bigger safety cushion. Its ABS and traction control adjust to lean angle, while the older school Yamahas do not. You may never need this feature, most of us hope we never do, but all it takes is for it to save you one time and you'll be glad you had it. Honda wins the braking and traction control game. In fact, being the far more recently updated bike, the Honda wins the comparison in terms of electronics in every regard. The Adventure Sports has a color display that is far better laid out and intuitive than the Super Tenere's outdated unit. It has more rider modes, including rider adjustable ones where you can dial in your own power, ABS, and traction control preferences. And it has Apple CarPlay with the ability to put a map on the main screen, while the smaller screen underneath still provides all the crucial rider info. Finally, both motorcycles offer cruise control, which works perfectly, a necessity for any touring rider. In terms of comfort, both bikes are close. The Honda is lighter and offers a slightly lower seat, which makes it easier to control at slow speeds. The Yamaha, being a bit wider, has slightly better wind protection. Both come with height-adjustable windscreens, but the Honda's is far easier to adjust quickly. I found the seats about equal in comfort, and my wife Brooke found passenger accommodations to be good on both machines, but had more praise for the Honda's roomy position. Comfort is such a subjective thing that it's hard to pick a winner here. The Adventure Sports does have one big advantage though. It is much better suited to standing with high, wide handlebars and a narrow section for your knees to clamp down on, so if you like standing, and a lot of adventure riders do, the Honda wins the comfort battle. It also wins in the looks department, though this is another very subjective category. I've always found Africa Twins to be some of the best looking adventure motorcycles on the market. The new Adventure Sports keeps that going and still looks good even though it no longer has a 21-inch front wheel. Additionally, it is offered in Honda's cool tricolor scheme, while the Yamaha comes in black or in granite depending on where you live, and is frankly looking in need of a styling update. Now we come to the elephant in the room, the Yamaha's maintenance-free shaft drive. This feature alone may sway many potential customers in the Super Tenere's direction, me included. These big adventure bikes are built for big mile exploring, and having to interrupt your trip to clean the chain is frankly a pain in the butt. This is one of the reasons why adventure riders have loved the big BMW GS bikes and continue to buy them over faster and lighter competition from brands like KTM. There are just some dudes who will not buy a chain-driven adventure motorcycle, and between these two bikes will always choose the Yamaha. Finally, there are some differences in hardware. Both motorcycles come standard with tubeless wheels, luggage racks, plastic handguards, passenger grab rails, outlets. The Honda has a 12-volt and a USB, while the Yamaha has the 12-volt only, and bash plates. The Honda's is superior by far. But the Yamaha also comes with a center stand and engine guards, plus other extras in some markets. For example, I think in the Canadian market, Yamaha throws in heated grips as standard, and the big one, in Canada we also get the huge lockable 32-liter aluminum hard cases with the mounting hardware all installed and keyed to the ignition key of the motorcycle. That is a huge value, as those bags cost about $1,300 in the States, and that is without being mounted. That's more than 2,000 Canadian dollars, and then you have to install them or pay a shop to do it. I suppose that since the bike has not been updated in some time and is outdated compared to more modern competition, Yamaha Canada is offering extra goodies to sweeten the pot. And so let's talk about value, a consideration that will change depending on where you are. In the States, a Yamaha costs $16,300 with no bags, while the Honda runs $17,600 for the manual and $18,400 for the DCT automatic. In Canada, the Yamaha costs $19,400 Canadian dollars with the bags, while the Honda runs $21,000 standard and $22,000 DCT. However, that Honda price also includes freight and PDI, which amount to about $1,200. So the Yamaha, being somewhat dated, is a better deal in both markets, but the difference is larger in Canada, where you get those nice aluminum bags included. The choice essentially comes down to the question, do you like extra hardware on your bike and a better price, or extra software and a more modern package? With Yamaha, you pay less while getting the ever-important shaft drive, plus a center stand, engine guards, and in some markets bags and heated grips, while with Honda you get a far better display, phone connectivity, better electronics, 6-axis IMU, and arguably better looks. The Honda wins on range and fuel efficiency, while the Yamaha edges out the Honda in pavement handling. The Honda is lighter and by far better off-road, while the Yamaha wins on its 42,000 km valve adjustment intervals. It's a tough choice, and it may come down to how you use the bike. If I was going to use it on pavement 99% of the time and occasionally ride some gravel or easy dirt, I'd save some money and get the Super Tenere and get me some nice aluminum bags here in Canada. However, if you want a lower seat and center of gravity for off-roading, or want to run maps on the screen and have the extra security of lean-sensitive ABS and traction control, the Honda is your ride. Finally, if shaft drive is a necessity, it's the Yam, while if DCT is a must-have, it's the Honda. Simple. If it's me, I'm not buying either. I'd go for the smaller standard Africa Twin in manual, or the bike I actually own, the Super Tenere's smaller brother, the Tenere 700. Both come with 21-inch front wheels and a heap load more off-road ability, which is important to me but not to many adventure bike buyers. But I want to hear from you. Which bike would you choose for your heavyweight adventuring needs? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Adventure on, and may the spokes be with you.